Welcome to Nightlight. Step away from the mainstream and gather around as we enlighten the world and our realities and travel this cosmic journey we call life. Join us as we share with you and provide that beacon that can guide us all to a better way. Explore with us as we examine a metaphysical montage of spiritual insights, covering everything from the mundane to the magical, UFOs to unicorns, and everything in between. This is a time of awakening, of sharing and evolving, of spreading our wings and soaring on the cosmic breath of creation. Come and join with other light-minded spirits as we weave our lights together to seek understanding, enlightenment, and with a little luck, some wisdom. This is Nightlight, a reminder that you are never alone.
Welcome everybody to Neon Twilight, which is a highlight of my month. And it's a time when I get to sit with Solaris BlueRaven on her show, Neon Twilight, and talk about a plethora of different topics. For those of you not familiar with Solaris, and there can't be many of you out there, but I'm sure there are a few, she is probably one of the most wise and insightful and intuitive people I've ever met. Her depth of knowledge in just about every area you want to dip your finger into is profound. She has two other radio shows that she does on a regular weekly basis, both of them on, oh crap, now I can't remember. I even had a show on it. Well, she'll come on and tell you, but she has two other shows on that she does on Friday and Saturday nights. So Sunday is, I guess, her chance to take her shoes off, put her feet on and up, and just relax a little bit. Let me bring her on. Solaris, where are your two shows broadcast every week from?
Well, hello, Barbara, and I'm glad to be back here. It's Raven Stars Witching Hour on Revolution Radio. That's on Saturday night, 12 midnight Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Pacific, and Hyperspace, of course, same station, on Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time.
How do you find that much to talk about? I mean, that's
I
two
don't,
shows.
well, I know.
That.
Right. I just find guests, and sometimes I do solo, depending. We're on Discord now, so it's a little bit more challenging. I don't think the guests are real fond of that, but yeah, this is working out okay.
What's Discord?
Discord is just one of the ways, instead of Skype, that was our replacement. So we decided to get on. It's more of a gaming platform, but they do it for, they can use it for stations and radio interviews.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I did Revolution Radio for a year or so, and I found it, a great platform, but, they have advertisements all over the place, and that bugged me because I prefer to, kind of go right on through. Mm-hmm. But, and they had a lot of wonderful people on there. I mean, they've got two studios and they are, going 24/7, which is a profound amount of broadcasting. But I think I'd rather be on a smaller platform where I had a greater understanding of the people I was working with and everything. I mean, that's a lot of people that they've got going there, and it does have a huge audience. So it's a great place to have your show. And they had, when I was there, a phenomenal chat room that was really quite spectacular. Mm-hmm. So, but they've got two studios going at the same time. So there are two shows going on at the same time. And then on top of that, they have holdovers from the last shows that we're on, and the chat room was probably one of the most energetic chat rooms I've ever been in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty busy. And with Discord, there are several other chat rooms as well. So there's the main chat, then there's a green room, there's a bunch of other rooms you can go into. So there's a lot for people to do.
I will
get into mischief, I guess.
So if they want to find you, they just go to Revolution Radio, and that's
and sign into Discord. And if they want to listen to the show live, they can certainly listen from there.
Wow, I'm going to have to check that out because I was used to the Revolution Radio layout and everything, but this sounds great. I will check it out.
Actually, yeah, it is. It's still Revolution Radio, but the platform on Discord has done very well. We had some good IT people that got involved, and it looks nice.
Wow. So you've been in this field for how long?
Gosh, I don't know, since at least since 2006, I guess, and then radio I started getting into, I think 2011, 12 in that window. So yeah, I've been around for a while. Before that, I was writing books. So yeah. So
Well,
it's always been something.
I've been around since 2009, I think, when I started Nightlight Radio, and we do hopscotch around, but it's when we started way back then, it really was an infant, and it was very exciting, especially with Blog Talk, all of the people that were on it, and it was a lot of fun. And then it got very, very busy, and that wasn't as much fun. And then it went downhill. So everybody had to scatter and find other places where they could put their podcasts. But podcasting has changed a lot now. I mean, you see anchors on TV saying, and follow me on my podcast. And it was like, holy mackerel,
Isn't that interesting? Every one of those podcasts, well, I think they like the freedom of being able to do their own thing and not being censored as much. We still have censorship, but it's better when they do their independent podcasts. From what I got, so yeah,
I got Nightlight on TalkStream Live way in the beginning, and I was the only psychic on TalkStream Live for a while, and now everybody's on, and it was kind of fun. You have these huge, big NBC, CBS, and all of those guys were on TalkStream Live, and then there was Nightlight Radio, and it was kind of fun.
That's cool.
But
that
but
is
now
nice.
it was when I called them up at TalkStream Live and said I wanted to take the show over there. They said, well, we've just opened up podcasting, and just give me your RSS. I had to discover what that was, and the next thing I knew, all of my shows were already up there. So it was really a very exciting thing for me. But
that's nice, yeah.
But over the years, the technology has gotten so incredible. It's it's kind of like you need to have a tech working with you. You need to, like earlier in the show, I ran into a glitch, and I had to, yell for help to have my tech come and help us. So it kind of is. It's gotten to be a big business, and I'm not sure I like it being this big, but
right, yeah, production, yeah,
it is what it is. So every month we try to talk about another topic, and Neon Twilight has been a place where we have gone into some very interesting material. Actually, we've come close to being censored here or there too, but mostly my fault.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Well, whoever initiated it, the other one went along happily. So it was like every now and then it was like, oops, this could get us in trouble. But we haven't, knock on wood, find wood, knock fast. But we've always picked really, really interesting topics. And the one that we're going to talk about tonight is dreams. What good are they?
Right.
They do for us. And so many people, I don't think they pay attention to their dreams. And there's so much material there that can help us, that can fuel our journey, that can give us answers. That how do you feel about dreams? I mean, how do you address them? Do you pay attention to them, or do you write them down? How do you deal with them?
For me, I really don't dream much anymore. After all the induction work that I had happened to me in 2004. But I can say prior to that, I used to like to do dream journaling, and a lot of the time I did out of body. So I was always astral projecting quite a bit. So I do have recall of that, and that's something that's invigorating. It's like taking a vacation. So I think that the lucid dreamer aspect is a really good thing to focus on. If you want to remember your dreams, or you want to be in control of your dreams, then that's the way to go. But regular people who just have these weird, chaotic dreams. I think it's just a filtering where they've had a busy day and all of a sudden it's just kind of downloading into their system when they're trying to sleep. And you know how that is. And they wake up and it's crazy. It's like you doesn't even feel like you took a nap or had any sleep, that kind of thing.
I have found lately that I don't dream at night, but I don't get more than like maybe 4 or 6 hours of sleep anyhow, but I take a nap during the day that is heavy duty and REM sleep for sure. So my REM sleep
That's
is
good.
coming in a different place. But I have, the more I've worked with dreams, the more I've talked with authors that have written books about dreams and how important they are, the more I am becoming more and more aware of the fact that our dreams are really a way that the spirit within us can get in touch with us and feed us information, insight, and so that there is a lot of material in the dream state for most people. You're just different. That is important, and writing stuff down is really, really important. I think that when I look back at my dreams, often I will sit there and talk to the cat and analyze it, because there's information there that I really have to pay attention to. And more and more I'm looking at synchronicities and what happens during the day that is synchronistic or a coincidence, which I don't believe in. So that it's important for us to be more, I think today's society is not paying attention at a lot of the subtleties that are happening around them. And the dream state is one of them, that we're getting messages. There are new messages coming through and new downloads all over the place. People are getting downloads like crazy.
Right.
What do you,
I think they should be looking at the patterns too. What's that?
What do you think about the downloads that are coming? Because you can tell people are getting downloads. You can tell that there's material that's coming through, and it's like a dump. It's like,
right.
Here's some more stuff. Pay attention to it. Try not to screw.
I think some of them, right. I think some of them are good insofar as spiritual path working goes, and being able to access that higher self, over soul, superconscious field, or whatever you're interconnecting with. There are other times where it could be kind of a distortion, or maybe a sidetrack interference pattern. So I guess they'd have to do their own analysis to see what's going on and how it registers to their psyche, right? But I think that people should pay attention. It's an intuition thing. Yeah, I've heard of people having a lot of waking dreams. So it's not only like you were describing, you're sleeping in the daytime, but people are actually having more of a lucid waking vision, or vision, which I think is interesting, versus just sleeping at night and getting the data. So yeah, I think that kind of dovetails into what you were saying.
The thing that upsets me is, well, I definitely there's spiritual stuff coming through. There is no doubt about it. But I think also there are manipulations going on as well. And how do you tell the difference between something is from spirit and something is from another source?
Right. I think it's just that the clarification when I mentioned the higher self, over soul, superconscious, that to me is a filter. So it can filter through a lot of the debris. But sometimes the technological, imprinting that goes on with the interface and the high tech that I'm familiar with, that could be another sideshow or another distraction. But sometimes that data is tangible and correct too. So, I think people just have to use a lot of discernment, which is kind of hard to do right now. But I would suggest that they do that.
Well, I'm seeing certainly what's coming from spirit. I'm seeing what comes from another spiritual source, and then I'm seeing it almost feels political. So that there's I don't know, governmental, or I don't know what to call it.
So more of an electronic program, almost like a virtual, because that goes on too, in my opinion. There's that virtual field, which is almost like a simulation field of interface where people can get involved and interconnect in the dream time, even subconsciously. So I'm wondering if that's what you're talking about.
Kind of like the Matrix stuff.
Right, yeah.
And so it's, red pill or blue pill. I mean, it's you get to the point where people today are, almost everyone is on a spiritual journey of some sort. They may not talk about it. They may not, go to groups for it, but they're on a spiritual journey. And sometimes, especially with AI today, it's hard to tell where something is coming from. How do you trust it? How do you know it? How do you feel about it? And if you've not dealt with those kind of energies before, how do you become discerning?
That's true. Well, I think it's just by experience. I think you just get better at it as you go. For regular people out there who probably don't know how to decode, I would just do an analysis. Just start doing an analysis on what it means to you. How does it make you feel? And just think about the source of where it's coming from, conscious or subconscious, technological or other. It could be even, there's a lot of that dream pool collective going on where people actually are starting to connect in the dream time. So is it coming from somebody else's imprinting? I mean, there's so many different levels to it, if you ask me. But that's where I would tell people to start. And of course, if you're in charge, if you're doing the lucid dreaming where you're setting the intent, I'm sure you and I both have had Von Breschler on. He comes to mind, right? So
Yeah.
the idea behind his dreaming, I like the way he does his lucid dreaming and the formula he uses. So something like that where people can actually create their own template and work with that so they have more order in their lives when they're in the dream time, I think is a really good idea.
Well, it's important. I think today a lot of people are really starting to wrestle with how they are in control of their reality, how they do create their reality by their perception of it, how we are in charge of our lives. We're not being, there isn't somebody above us pulling strings, or shouldn't be. And so to be able to understand what's coming from yourself, your higher consciousness, whatever, that spirit, don't jump off a bridge to see if you can fly type stuff. But it's sure, go ahead, try it, see what happens. Yeah, you're dead. You're going to come back, and don't do that again.
Right. Or you're astral traveling.
By the way, you said remote viewing.
Well, I would always say be careful what you listen to, for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. A long time ago, we did a whole series of 12 remote viewing sessions as a group. And we had a lot of fun with it. And you have mentioned it any number of times. And I found them. And we're starting to put them up on the YouTube channel again.
Oh, nice.
And once we get all 12 of them up, I'm going to continue it.
Oh, good.
So that
that was fun.
It was a lot of fun. And I was, and it's thanks to you, because you made me curious to see if I actually had the MP3s of the meditations that we did. The first one is up on, there is a playlist for them. There's only one there yet, but the other 11 will go up. And I'm going to add to it another 12. And I was trying to figure out what other areas to go into. I thought of that amazing cave is in South America with those huge crystals in it. The one I'm talking about.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah.
I thought of going there. I thought of going.
I can't remember the name of it, but yeah.
Into Skinwalker Ranch. Blind Frog.
That would be cool. I'd be up for that.
The Blind Frog, the Blind Frog Ranch, where they think they have the Amazon treasure there. I was trying to think of other places.
I haven't heard of that one. That sounds fun.
Blind Frog Ranch is really
nice.
It's in Utah as well.
I like it.
And those three I had, okay, those would be fun to go to. We don't have to restrict it to pyramids, so we could go almost anywhere. Any suggestions?
I do have a suggestion. Since I was just talking about this last night, I was asked about it. Atlas 3 coming in. This is a big deal to people, but not to me. But a lot of people are speculating what it is, but I would say that would be a great
Is
observation
that
to
that
remote
great big thing
to
that's
take a look
coming
at it with
towards
a
us?
binoc
What is
Yeah,
that?
and they're saying it's under some people are speculating it could be an extraterrestrial, technology. Other people are saying it's, it's interesting because I'm hearing a lot of different things that definitely it's different insofar as the way it's navigating. So something to look at. Maybe that'd be kind of fun to kind of, take a
That
glimpse and see
that's
if
that great
anything
big
comes in.
long thing that's that great big long thing that looks like an asteroid?
Yeah, right. And
Yeah.
well, and actually, I think I have a link for it somewhere, but they're calling it a possible hostile alien threat. I think it was the New York Times. Someone mentioned this to me last night, and I haven't been tracking it, to be honest with you. So, but when you
No,
start talking about remote viewing and doing some exercises, I think that'd be a great one to look at. See what comes
absolutely.
in.
No, it just, I have the
And that's the
group.
third one.
Yeah. I want to go back to the South Pole. I want to go beneath the ice again. I want to,
Hmm.
there are a couple of places that I don't think we really investigated as much as I would have liked to. So,
Hmm.
Greg is working like crazy at getting them up. When I said I think I have the MP3s of the meditation, and then I was able to get into the blog that we did, and I sent it to him, and I said, let's pull them over to YouTube so people can take a look at them and listen and participate and actually leave comments if they want to. So he's
Hmm.
working on that now, like he didn't have
That's
anything
great.
else to do.
Well, it's kind of fun, and I'm glad you're putting them up. I think they're awesome. So I'm glad to see that. I had a lot of fun with that. That's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna start looking at, things that, may or may not be. I want to go into also the Tuatha De Danann. Um, the
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I want to go into something about them. I'd like to go into Merlin. Um,
Hmm.
did a show on Merlin last week with Matthew John Matthews, and it was
Hmm.
on the prophecies of Merlin, and it was fascinating the amount of material there is on Merlin and whether or not he existed, and I still think he did, but that's just me.
Hmm.
Uh, so it's I think that there are some um, pieces of history that people think are fantasy that I don't believe are, and so maybe we should investigate them, and
Hmm.
uh, it would be fun to do some traveling.
Oh, yeah. No, I think it's fabulous. Those are good topics. I like those.
For starters, I
Hmm.
just I'm certainly open to any ideas. It's not like we have to book passage for them. All have to do is
No, that's the
just
beauty of it. Yeah, you just do. I like to do a lot of cold runs, and I've done those in the past. And I like that where you just do it and see what comes in. And one I did with a target reference number, and I didn't tell them. Yeah, obviously, I didn't have an envelope, nothing. I mean, just a target reference number. What's interesting is that it was like 100,000 years into the future. But everybody came up with some really cool imagery. So I think they follow the stream or they follow whatever it is through I think it's almost like an algorithm to some degree, but it's fascinating when you start honing in on something and then it formulates itself for you. I just think there's incredible power behind some of that remote viewing. So yeah, I would definitely keep doing that. That's fun.
yeah, I'm gonna start putting stuff together on that because it would be
Hmm.
once Greg gets all 12 of them up. I think what fascinated me was that when we did them, there weren't that many people that looked at them. After they were up, I put up the
Hmm.
first. Greg put up the first one, and it's had 60 views after I think a day of being up or something, which surprised me.
That's good. Hmm.
Maybe it
Yeah,
was a
that's
little,
nice.
maybe it was before its time. Maybe other people are more interested now. I don't know, but I think it's something that um, for people to get together and be able to do a meditation of any sort is really cool, especially with the internet, because it's an energy that you tune into, and if everybody's just tuning into it, they're easy to link up and to take, and then to use that energy to go somewhere. So it's something that you actually can do on the internet, and it really is a lot of fun. So we'll see what we get out of it. Probably it's going to take him several weeks to get through all of them, but because I just put them up there, but he does it so much more professionally.
Yeah, it's always nice to have somebody polish it up.
I just would have put it up with pictures and said, "Here you go," but no, he's making it look really good. So we'll see what we get, but that's another new direction we're going in. But I want to get back to dreams, because dreams, I believe, I used to tell people that if you keep a dream journal, if you have a dream about an event or a person or something specific, and it's not just an everyday dream, it's a dream that really hits you. Wait and see, write it down and wait and see how long it takes before you see something that relates to it happening in your everyday life, because everybody's prognostication timing is different. And I think that once you know what your time frame is when you dream of something and then something happens that is reflective of that dream that you had, it gives you an idea as to what to watch for in what space of time. And I from time to time I've done it, and it has been rather fascinating. And sometimes my dreams are just they don't feel like they're worth writing down, but once I get to writing them down, I can often see things in them that I should possibly pay attention to. I have a good friend who, every time she sees red shoes, within a month's time frame, someone she knows or knows of passes away.
Wow.
And it's quite amazing. I mean, it could be a national figure, it could be a star, it doesn't necessarily have to be a member of her family, but there's a death that is broadcast or is out there or whatever. So when you find that you've got things like that are predictive in many ways, it's a good idea to pay attention to them. And it's not necessarily death. Sometimes it can be birth. Sometimes it can be losing something or leaving something where you don't remember you left it, and in a dream you will see where it is if you ask. I mean, dreams can be very, very helpful if you work with them, if you learn to deal with them, and most people don't. I'm probably as guilty as the next person, but I don't dream, I just see. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's almost better, or lucid, I guess, in the experience. But yeah, definitely. Well, that's the whole idea. I think is just to get to the point where you just switch gears and you're able to access immediately, simultaneously, without a lot of preparation. I think that's how we work, especially doing the type of work we have been involved in for many, many moons. I think that has accentuated that ability to some degree.
Well, I know that somebody loaned me something once and said, "Don't lose this. It's the only copy I've got, and don't lose it. I'll be really upset if you lose it." And I said, "Don't worry, I won't lose it." Of course I did. And it was a pattern for something. And I can remember sitting and saying, "Okay, I know it's here. I know it's not been thrown away. I know it's here." And I kept being drawn to a bookcase, and I kept looking in the bookcase and looking in the bookcase. And to be honest with you, I nearly went out of my mind. A year and a half later, I had to move the books out of the bookcase. And here between two books was this piece of paper.
Oh, wow.
It was exactly where I saw it. I just wasn't looking right. And sometimes, and I called the girl and I said, I found it. And she said, oh, I didn't tell you I had another copy all along. I mean, I wanted to kill her. But, it was kind of like, I guess I didn't look hard enough, or it wasn't time, or, but I think sometimes if you meditate enough, or if you trust to your intuition enough, that's just like dreaming in many ways.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Have you
yeah,
ever
absolutely.
have you ever lost something? I lost the other day. I lost the remote control to my TV. Now I'm in a condo, and the first floor is my bedroom, bathroom, living room, dining room, kitchen. And
Mm-hmm.
I searched all those areas like crazy. I even went through the garbage. I mean, I couldn't find it. And I finally sat down and I said, I know you're here, and it would be really nice if you showed up, because I'm about to lose my mind, and I really don't think I want to do that. And I sat there, and the cat sat and looked at me, and she was in a chair that she's not usually in, and she started to meow at me. And I looked over at her and I said, it's not time to eat, don't go trying to tell me it's time for your snack. And she kept talking to me, and I went over, and on the top of the chair was the remote control.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
It had been
That's
there all
cool.
along. Sometimes we just, we want something that we think we're looking for, but we're really not looking for it, I don't think. Or someone was playing a trick on me and had hidden it and then put it back.
Well, I like the way the cat kind of helped you. That's cute.
It's
good familiar.
Yeah. Oh, she is a great familiar. Her clock is set to 12 noon, and if she doesn't get her snack at 12 noon, I know about it.
Oh, that's funny.
She's a
yeah,
good
that's
cat.
Interesting.
But
Very cool.
dreams can be predictive if you let them. And I think sometimes people just brush off dreams, and nightmares especially. Nightmares are very important. Your spirit is trying to tell you something, and it's scaring you, so you pay attention. Because often we don't, a nightmare, we get up, we walk around, and try to brush it off, but it's your spirit trying to tell you something. And it doesn't have to be something horrible. It can be something that's important, but sometimes the only way to get your attention is to scare you. So do you think that as we become more and more conscious, more and more open to our higher consciousness, that there will be a better repartee between our higher and lower consciousnesses?
Well, it seems to me that's that way, but it also morphs in a sense of that gnosis that comes in versus the dream. So once again, it's that idea behind being able to see it immediately or know it immediately. It converts itself into something a little more streamlined, in my opinion. At least that's from where I've been. So sometimes that buffering system in all the dreams is not really necessary unless you're really going on an astral journey of some kind, or have to, you're literally have to go into a deep space in order to acquire something. But I find that it's just following these frequencies and just blending in with them to that field level to the point where you can access and extract information. At least that's where I come from. I mean, that's how it's been for me. Back in the day, it was a little bit different, but I've always astral traveled. And I think that if I had a premonition about something, usually it was right on. But I get the warnings ahead of time. So I've always been able to, it's more not like a dream. It's more about waking dream, I guess you could call it. So I've always known about that. And you probably have too.
Well,
you have the radar.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I mean, I've had times when I have been ready to go someplace and then said, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not going.
Yep. Pay attention.
And every now and then I see why I was prevented. But sometimes you're not, and sometimes you just have to trust. And I have been known to say, I don't know why, but not going or not doing that,
Mm-hmm.
or this is not right.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell people, trust your gut unless you've had Mexican food. Now, Mexican food is what will definitely tie up my gut. But for some people, it's other stuff. But it just, to me, is so many people have those feelings, dreams, and
Mm-hmm.
um, insights, just feelings, and they don't follow them. And I don't understand why, because when you have that feeling, when you have that prickly feeling in the back of your neck, or you have that just that knowingness that this is not right, not good.
Mm-hmm.
uh, why don't you follow it?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
No, paying attention to that. I think they're just not trained to, but eventually they'll figure it out because something will happen that's not necessarily the event they want, and then they'll realize that they should have paid attention.
but they will, and yet when it happens another time, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd rather be wrong and be okay than to be right and screw up.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, I knew that was going to happen, but I went anyhow, or I did that, or I knew this was the wrong move, but I did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And if you trust, I know that when I decided to sell my house in Connecticut and moved to Nashville, um, most people, when they make decisions like that, do a lot of thinking and planning and checking things out and everything. I was having dinner with my son, and I looked at him and I said, I think it's time I sold the house and moved. And he said, okay, where are you moving to? And I said, Nashville. And I was in Connecticut at the time. And he said, well, I didn't see that coming. And the next day I listed with a broker. Now, prior to that dinner, I hadn't been thinking about it at all,
Hmm.
but it was just out of my mouth. And I think what happens when I have done readings, or when I have been working with somebody on a spiritual level, I just trust what comes out is appropriate, and so I say it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in that kind of a flow, and he just looked at me and he said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "I'm positive. It's time."
Mm-hmm.
And that was 5 years ago, and took me a year and a half to sell the house, and I didn't even get an offer for a very long time. And when I did finally get an offer, I had my friend Jean and I had been on the multiple listings for a year and a half, seeing what was available, what might be a good fit for me and stuff like that. And the
Mm-hmm.
condo that I am in now, they had reduced their price to within my price range. And I called John and I said, will you go see it? I think that's my house. And he came, he looked, he said, yeah, it looks really good. Do you want to fly out and look at it? I said, nope, offer them. And I told him what to offer, and he did. And I said, tell him it's cash. And he did. And they accepted it. And it was a done deal. And I moved down here without actually ever
Nice.
having physically been in the
Mm-hmm.
house. And it had everything I wanted.
That's awesome.
It's very big. And when I moved from Connecticut to Nashville, it was a big cultural change. And a lot of people said, well, you're a psychic and you're a medium. There, you can burn you an effigy here and there, and that's not the case. Everybody has been wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the fact that I'm also a minister helps, but um,
Mm-hmm.
I've told you this before. I walked around. Everybody has a little garden space, and there were only 14 units, and I walked around to see what everybody was doing, to discover that there was a graveyard in my backyard,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an old one. And I was so thrilled because people said, is that going to be a deal breaker? And I said, oh, no, I think that's fabulous. I couldn't be more thrilled that there's a graveyard here. And there was only one tombstone we could really read, and it was Thomas F. Smiley. And so Jeannie and I, well, Jeannie actually, because she's better at it than I, she checked him out. And he had a sister named Hattie, and Hattie was married to a man whose name was Aaron DeLong. He was a relative.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, it was kind of like the universe saying, yeah, you're in the right spot. This is where you belong. This is, for now, this is where you belong. And for a while, I don't like moving, but, if I have to, I do. But it just felt right at the right, things just felt like they were falling into place for me. And I think that happens when people are in tune with the flow of the energy and go along with it. I mean, I'm not jumping off tall buildings or anything like that, but when you have feelings, when you feel the flow of energy, when you follow it, when you pay attention to, when you trust to yourself, often you're led into places and situations that you never thought you'd be led in, but there you are. And
yep.
Have you found that with your life? Has your life sort of opened up for you?
Well, it's been redirected. There's no doubt about that. But I've always followed my stream of consciousness and set the intent of what I want to do. If I got a hit on something, I'd go with it. So yeah, it's definitely like that when it comes down to navigation and how I accomplish things. And I think that especially in locations with your radar, your energy with certain places, they change your vibration, as we all know. So one place might feel energetically maybe not as good for you and not compatible. And then all of a sudden you go to another location and the energy's really clear and smooth and a lot more productive for your psychic work or whatever you're doing. So I've noticed that. I mean, I think Maui was a prime example back in the day of what a nice area to be able to recalibrate and decompress from the mainland. I still love Maui for that reason, because it's so cosmic when it comes down to frequencies. But yeah, I definitely like that when it comes down to decision making and following my intuition and my radar. Absolutely.
Why didn't you go back there?
Well, I have my animals. I think that was the biggest thing, was just my animals.
Oh yeah.
And that was the main thing. The cost of living was high. But who's to say I may go back at some point in the illusion of, but right now with my animals, I'm sticking around here, just because it's just really hard on them to move them and have them in quarantine. And there's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, it's a long quarantine, isn't it?
Well, it used to be. I think they changed it, but nonetheless, it's, I don't think my dogs would handle that very well in any formula. That's something to factor in. So, yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
do love
no.
the ocean, though, and I miss the sea. I miss living by water.
Yes.
That's, I think at some point I'll wind up by water for sure.
Well, that was one of the things that, I've always lived on the coast. And I miss the smell of low tide, which sounds terrible, but I miss that. I miss the salt water. And it's that was one of the things I wanted to be by water, moving to Tennessee, and there's not a lot of water around here. But there is, I do have a stream in my backyard. My son calls it.
Good.
My son calls it a drainage ditch, but on the map it is a stream. So it's a very small stream.
Running water. It's running, right?
On occasion.
It's moving energy. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
It probably have water underneath too. I mean, obviously not access, but
yeah. Oh yeah. No, there are a lot of underground streams here, but that was the main thing. To be on the Cumberland or on a large body of water would have been cool, but also it would have been very expensive. So I think you have to kind of weigh what you want and what, I got everything else, and I got a stream in my backyard, so I'm just fine.
It sounds like you were in the right place. Absolutely. And are in the right place. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely inspirational. It's a beautiful area. We have a huge field. I have deer wandering around all the time, and all sorts of other wildlife. And
that's so nice.
It is. It really, it couldn't be nicer. I don't think. A little cooler would be nice.
Yeah, the heat, I'm not a fan of really hot temperatures, so that's another thing. What was it today? How hot does it get?
The heat thing was 110.
Oh my gosh. That's a lot for me. I'm just like, yeah,
I thought,
I'm
I thought,
definitely like cooler temperatures.
oh, I can handle this. I walked out the door. I turned around. I walked back in. I said, no, I can't.
No, no way. Well, it was
Uh,
100 downtown today when I went downtown this morning. So, and then I get up the mountain and it's like 81 degrees. So that's why I love living up in the mountains. That's
oh,
takes
yeah.
15 degrees off right there. Just about plus or minus.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
winter has to be bad. I
it is.
mean,
That's the part. Yeah, it can be sketchy and it can be a little bit too cold. And each year it seems like it's getting worse, but we'll see what this one does. But yeah, I can't do another 5 footer of snow anymore and all that. I don't know if I want to do that anymore. So we'll see what happens. I say that every year, but I do like the cooler temperatures.
I remember when Patrick moved from San Francisco to Connecticut. Um, he had been in California for 40 some years. And I remember we got a snow and he said, oh, this is pretty, and everything. And I said, oh, this is just the start of it. And at the end of the storm, we had 4 feet of snow. And
Mm-hmm.
he said, well, how long does this last? And it was probably February. And I said, end of March, maybe. He said, you're kidding me. I said, no, get out and shovel. Now he had he went out and he said it's cold, and I said snow usually is, here in California. I
Oh
don't think
wow, yeah.
and San Francisco, it's kind of like no, you saw the snow if you went up in the mountains, but of course he didn't do that. So uh, it was a rather unique experience for him. It was kind of fun,
Mm-hmm.
and when we drove from San Francisco, we drove across country because he had 3 cats. And when we hit, oh gosh, Pennsylvania, Ohio, there were lots and lots of trees. And when we got to, into Pennsylvania and then into New York State, the road had trees, the canopy of them. And he said, how far does this go? I thought the trees were all gone. And I said, are you kidding me? He said, well, how far do they go? I said, till they hit the ocean. He had no idea. And, this is a brilliant man, but you just, you get a concept and you're in one area for such a long time. You forget that the country is huge and it has so
Mm-hmm.
much beauty in it. When we went
It is.
through Nevada, we went through Nevada at sunset, and the mountains were purple, and the Purple Mountains Majesties, they were purple. I mean, I think everybody should drive across the country at least once or twice in their life just to see how large it is and how amazing it
Mm-hmm.
is, how much
Yeah.
room there is.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Really, very different. Each state is very different and unique.
Yeah,
That's
I
for
think
sure.
we get so locked into our own little areas that we forget there's so much else out there that it is amazing. I think one of the things that I've not ever experienced, and I kind of wish I had, um, is Canada.
Yeah,
Canada,
me too.
Canada is glorious.
It's
I mean,
beautiful, beautiful. Yeah.
and it is still a great deal of it just wide open.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
think that
lower population for sure.
at some point in time, someone mentioned that the most of our populations are all along the coasts. That the center of every area is usually pretty empty,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Makes
that's what
sense.
we experienced. I got up close and personal to a couple of those windmills. I had no idea they were as big as they were.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they are. We have some over here. Well, not here, but in this state.
Yeah, I just I think that that we all become so locked into our own areas and so focused on survival that we don't get to really experience the wonder of the country we're a part of.
And I think that's sad, but it's very, very true. Yeah, people are wrapped up in that lower chakra for sure. They never take vacations. Most people can't afford to take a vacation. So, not everybody, but there are a lot of people just work. They don't get to go out and take off and do these cool things. So, I hope that changes.
Is there any place in the world that you would like to see that you haven't seen?
I think it's Santorini, Greece. That's one I was talking about the other day. I do love Greece and I love Santorini. So that's on my bucket list for sure. I think that's the next one. If I go anywhere, it's going to be, it's so beautiful there. I find that the energetics are, they just seem like a resonance, very, very beautiful, very Atlantean almost. It's got a vibe to it. Yeah. Have you been there?
No. The only place that well, I would really like to take that cruise ship that goes up the Alaskan coast so you could see the whales and everything and the icebergs and everything. And, I'd like to see that, but on a ship that had heat. The other place that I have always wanted to go, and probably won't this life, but I'm going to make sure it's on my list next time, is the museum in St. Petersburg, Russia, where they have the Schliemann's gold of Troy is there. I would love to go to that museum. And I'm going to have to someday try to see if maybe there isn't a visual tour of it or something, because I just I've seen so much. Oh, probably. It just, there's, for some reason, part of it is at one point Patrick and I were in Copenhagen and we went into the castle there, and I was in awe of how big the corridors were, and no central heat, but in the main room there was a huge fireplace that I could stand up in, and there were andirons in the fireplace, and they're the top of them were about that big around, and they were sterling silver. And the reason sterling silver is because the silver would absorb the heat, and people could put their feet on them and heat their feet up.
Wow. Interesting.
It was,
cool.
It was just amazing to see these, I'd love to do a castle tour, but I want to do it, in comfort.
Yeah.
I don't want
to. I like castles though. Yeah.
Castles would be just so phenomenal to actually be able to walk through, and the history that took place within them, to be able to just take a deep breath and know that your feet were hitting the same platform, the same ground that Henry VIII or Anne Boleyn was, or my neighbor went to she went to Europe, and she had a couple of things she wanted to see, but basically she could only walk by them because the tourism was so great that you had to sign up, I don't know, months ahead to be able to get in, to walk through and see things. So that's no good. So remote viewing would probably be a good idea.
Well, and also depending on what you're seeking, insofar as information goes, you get rid of all the distractions with the masses, and then you just hone in on your target. So it seems like it's a little more efficient.
Yeah, there's something about that time frame, 1800s, 1700s, 1600s. No heat, no indoor plumbing. Right away, you've got me. I'm not going. But
it's not. I'm not a fan.
No, I want some luxuries here.
I think so too. I'm not interested in going back to the Flintstones. I always say Jetsons and beyond. When it comes down to that. So,
have you done any work with traveling forward in time?
A little bit here and there. I mean, I've seen a lot of different things in trajectory when I was doing my remote viewing and then the interface. So I put them in my book. A lot of them are in my Cosmic Travelers book, analysis of time travel. But I have looked, but it's always off planet. I mean, there's a lot of parallel or parallax imagery that comes in. That reminds me of here, but not. So I've seen a lot of that going on. So it's not like I've gone backwards, but to a place that's very unique and advanced, similar but not the same as this realm. It's almost like a different configuration, a different a parallel world, so to speak. So I have seen that, and I like those places. I want to stay when I go. I don't want to come back here. So that's my
Well,
problem.
yeah,
I really, it's hard when you go someplace, whether you're astral projecting or you're there through your interconnection or your mind and consciousness, and then coming back here. It's not disappointing, but to me, there's just so much to explore, and I just want to keep exploring. It's
well,
as
is
simple as
it?
that. And I think that's why I like the remote viewing. We can navigate and go places.
I sometimes wonder um, when I do looking futuristically, if what I'm seeing is really another dimension, or is it just what I hope another dimension would be?
Mm-hmm.
And when I think of this dimension, there are certain parts of it that I'm not in favor of war. I'm not in favor of um, corruptness, and it feels as though almost every place humanity has touched has had a dark side. And I'm wondering if that is
Mm-hmm.
the fact, in other places when we look forward, are we seeing only the good, or is there a dark side to their places as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point you make. I would say that they probably, just like any place else, have had their wars, but then there's a residual imprint that's there, and then something's changed it all. I mean, when you look at Mars as a prime example, right? I mean, you've heard the stories of what Mars is. Is it a moon? Was there a war? All these things that have happened supposedly, or maybe. I still say, yeah, I think it's a moon. Honestly, I don't think it's a real. I wouldn't consider it to be a planet. I can call it a celestial body, but I just to give that as an example, yeah, things go down that, where's the benchmark? Where's the imprint? How can we access that database? And I think a lot
Yeah.
of that is through the stream of consciousness and remote viewing and being very clear in your psyche, and also interconnected to another signal, I would say, an energetic that's compatible with what you're doing. So you have that field of energy where you can decode it without the interference of man's greed and the lower collective, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, because what you're
Yeah.
describing reminds me of like, this place is saturated with all kinds of memory banks, but a lot of it's trauma based from wars and murder and harm and control and enslavement, basically. So when you see all that, you know that there's this imprint here, even though we don't dial into it a lot. How does that transmute alchemically? I mean, and then I think that there's a benchmark, and then mankind, when he steps out and beyond into another configuration, he has to let go of all that. And you know that, and I know that, but they don't apparently. So they hardly get anywhere. If they do, it's temporary. So that's just my observation, but
Well,
it's
you
greedy.
know, I wonder if somebody traveling into our time, depending on where they travel to, could see, for instance, the palaces over in Saudi Arabia, um, and the magnificent palaces they've got, and think that that was what the whole world was like. Or if they hit the Yukon and saw the majestic trees and mountains and streams and rivers and everything, and
Mhm.
very, very little populations, that would be what they thought the world was.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if when we remote view usually to a particular place, but is that really reflective of the entire planet?
Well, that's a good point. And I guess it depends on what you're doing. Like for me, when I do remote viewing, most of it's off planet, to be honest with you. I do a lot of stuff that's not here. So
Okay.
when I look, obviously we can look like what you've done with your exercises, but there are other places too that are in a different space-time configuration. So I don't set the blueprint. I don't create the blueprint. I'm not trying to create and manufacture a a formula to look and see what I want to see. So that's how, in my opinion, how you can decode certain things. But I think what you're describing is very interesting insofar as how that's observed through a different lens, perhaps, even on this realm. But I would find that an off-world species, intelligent-wise, would see things on a whole different spectrum of consciousness very clearly, simultaneously, almost like artificial intelligence, without the man's version of the simulation. So, they already know without knowing, without having to try, so to speak. That's what I get anyway.
Well, it's sort of like that, if you get men touching a piece of an elephant, they all are just describing something, the trunk and the leg and, an ear and, and they don't understand, the massiveness of the animal. And I'm wondering if we were trying to, for instance, if the Earth was trying to go to another planet and say, come to Earth and visit the beauty of the this and the that, and they were showed the beauty that is here, but not the poverty and the wars and things like that. People would think that the whole planet was just one great big amusement park.
Well, it's like untainted by man, basically, is what you're describing. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure they can access it like that. And also the idea behind the architects who designed this area. I'm sure they're familiar with all kinds of life forms here, including the animals. And so that would be interesting. I don't see it as an amusement park. I don't know. I just find it to be a place that it's off here. I said it before, we're in the wrong space-time. Everything's off. So, but that's just me. Maybe it's comfortable for everybody else and it's just me. So, but definitely, yeah.
I don't think you're alone.
Yeah.
But you see, like Bigfoot. I have heard stories of Bigfoot being, sweet and compassionate, and not being angry or in any way abusive to humans. And then I see these people going out to hunt and kill Bigfoot just to prove he exists, to kill something just so you can prove it exists. To me, that doesn't make sense.
No, it's sensationalism.
And
also,
to me,
I think it's just the evolution too. But go ahead.
Well, to me, Bigfoot, does exist, but I think he's interdimensional. That's why you've never found bones.
Well, it's an idea. I mean, I know a lot of people who believe in Bigfoot, and I must tell you, I have no resonance with it, but I do understand tulpas and thought forms. And if enough people believe in something like the Slender Man or anything else, it can manifest. So that's another option. I mean, that's just something to look at. But I have friends that I love dearly that they'll swear by the Bigfoot. So, and I don't judge. It is their thing. And they've experienced something that they think is Bigfoot. And for me, for some reason, it just doesn't register properly with me. But, I have a lot of people that have. So
I think he does exist, but I think he's interdimensional. And from what stories that I've read, and Mary Joyce is a source of a lot of the material on Bigfoot that I've seen. But they don't seem monstrous or they're not out to kill people. I don't believe that. And so seeing these going out trying to trap Bigfoot upsets me greatly, because all Bigfoot does is throw stones and branches at people, and they want to kill them.
Right. Well, I think they want the ratings and they want sensationalism, and it's just like an extraterrestrial. I mean, it's the same concept. So if they have something that they think is extraterrestrial, I mean, how many groups do you think would go and hunt it and try to do something to exploit it? I'm sure that goes on too. So once again, it's man's low. I don't say all of them, but there's a lot of that going on with a lower evolutionary ladder. I mean, they're just going inverted versus going up to the higher frequency and states of consciousness they need to be in. I don't know why it's so hard for people. I think the ego gets in the way, though. It comes down to just, why do you want to just destroy everything and harm everything? Why does it have to be that way? It doesn't. It just doesn't.
Let's kill it and stuff it so we can prove that it exists.
I mean, no respect for life forms in any formula.
You're going to kill it to prove that it existed. Doesn't make sense to me. That's like kill a human to prove that humans existed.
Well, it's reminding me of Planet of the Apes. Remember when they were in the museum, the people, the humanoids, or what they consider human, wind up in the museum stuffed. So be careful. I said Madame Carmen might have some plans, you know.
I
Never know.
Well, it's what's fascinating is a lot of times our television shows and our movies have actually been preparing us for the reality that we were stepping into. I mean, how many of us watched early Star Trek and seeing the doors opening and shutting and thinking, how cool is that? And now we go into the grocery store all the time and the doors open and shut and we don't think anything of it.
Yeah.
Or they're
if only that was the bridge of the USS Enterprise, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cute, though. But it's true. The tricorders, everything, cell phones and
the flip phones. I mean,
all
they
the
came
little
from
gadgets. Yeah, we have that and much more. So,
oh yeah,
interesting.
But it does.
Cool.
Of course, I was a Trekkie.
Yeah, it's an amazing technology and breakthrough. Yeah.
So did they know the future and they were just showing it to us, or were they showing it to us and we made it happen?
I think they always knew what. I think we always had, or they had a backdoor access to some exotic and advanced technologies for sure. Just like a lot of other. I mean, I've heard this with sci-fi writers too. They've had it's a little bit of insight insofar as what was in the hidden, the hidden archives, so to speak. But I think that's what's gone on, and then we run with it, and then we get calibrated for that, and it doesn't seem foreign to us. Then all of a sudden, there it is. It pops up, and then but there are people that are controlling it to make the money, as you can see. I mean, you can look at these different corporations that are very wealthy with their cell phones and everything else, and that's not by accident. I mean, a lot of patents were stolen back in the day. I've talked about this before with some of the inventors I've interviewed. I mean, a lot of guys were murdered for their inventions. The patents were stolen, and they were reconfigured into one of these defense departments or someplace else behind the scenery where big corporations took over with the tech, and nobody knows the better. So you see that. I mean, it's all there. And then we have reverse engineer technology, which is, extraterrestrial design and blueprint, in my opinion. So when people start to say, like, for this incoming object, it has technology. Well, it could be our technology for all anybody knows if that's really the case. And once again, it needs to be looked at a little bit more closely. But a lot of people are already kind of setting that theme of it being a hostile entity or something. And I'm not buying that, but it is interesting. You should look it up. I'll give you some articles if you want.
Yeah, I'd love that. I would love that. I know when
yeah, because I was just awakened to it.
Well, it just, to me,
go ahead.
When you look at the Rendlesham Forest thing, when the soldier touched the
sorry.
Here, you have company. When the soldier touched the drone and he got downloaded with all of the binary code, and it turns out it was a message from 8100, which is way far in the future. Was it time travel? Or what were we looking at? Or did they misinterpret it? Are you familiar with that?
Right. No, I think right. I am. I actually interviewed a lot of those guys back in the day. This was years and years and years ago. But in my opinion, I think it was a beta test. I thought it was sorry. He must see something out there and I can't see what he's looking at. But I think it was a beta test, to be honest, with exotic technology on our end. But that's just me. And the fact that it was communicating in, I think he said, was it binary code or a lot of the codes? I mean, a lot of the things he was talking about is exotic technology that we have access to and we can do to beta test our personnel. And also, if you notice, a lot of those events happened around like silos and things like that. That's another red flag. So I think it's ours. I think a lot of it's exotic reverse engineer technology, beta testing their personnel. But, that's just me. And he probably argued that. But coming from where I've been with interconnecting technology that's black, that's how I see it, because it's very clear. And I'm sorry about my dog. He's
that's okay. My cat could easily sing the song of her kind at any moment, so not to worry. Of course, I fed her, so she's quiet. But no,
it's animal friendly here. We're animal friendly.
Absolutely. No, I think what I was taken in by it. I still am. But to me, if what he got was binary code, and it does translate that way, that far in the future, they have to have a better way of communicating. Now, if it's that far in the
Agreed.
future,
Well, we have synthetic telepathy too, when you think about that.
oh yeah, no,
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
there could be no more humans in 8100. Our species,
Yeah, so
we
correct.
definitely could destroy ourselves, which is a great possibility. So 8100, from the 6,000 years from now, my goodness, 6,000 years from now.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Definitely, yeah.
I mean, our
That's highly
consciousnesses may
possible.
be.
But in my opinion, I think that event was definitely a beta test, but nonetheless, intelligence and off-world intelligence, which is machine. It is not part of what people consider human. So once again, I think that's the equation of we are capable of interfacing with technology and machines and artificial intelligence and beyond, and that will be converted into something else if we make it out of here without killing each other, the whole world. Mankind is on the extinction scale.
But the thing is, our spirits will make it out, no problem.
Yeah, this is the biosuit, but you'd like to be able to take the species up, right?
Yeah, I'd like the species to survive, and yet I don't have any great faith in that.
No, I don't either. None whatsoever. And I'm sorry to say, I have more faith in the animal kingdom these days.
Well, the Denisovan, they found a finger and they dated it back, 10,000 years, maybe something like that. That there was human, there was physical whatever. I can't remember. It was a finger, I think, in a cave, and you wonder what humans will be like in 6,000 years, or will they be human, or will we have moved to a time frame where we don't need to have the physical body anymore, and all we have is a spiritual existence, but we can manifest a physicality if we want to be someplace physically.
Well, that's almost like an avatar projection too. So once again, it's an interconnection with AI, artificial intelligence, and projection, like you would like almost a hologram, but literally having an avatar to be able to, see and be that host. I think the intelligence will always be there. Just like, in my opinion, this cosmic realm, this multiverse, this big, vast energy network is intelligent. So does it take on a physical body? I doubt it. It's an intelligent design. It's almost I call it like a sentient machine.
Yeah,
it has blueprints and technology it's able to put in motion. I think there's some really cool things that are going to eclipse us. Oh, go ahead.
Well, spiritually speaking, the spirit.
Sorry, go ahead.
So there's a spirit, but isn't there also the need, the want, the desire to have a feeling of physical as well? Otherwise, you're the Borg.
Well, I think enter onto this realm for is to feel in this biosuit, but at the same time, I think you can feel that in a different space time. I don't think it's something that's just for this particular realm. I think you can still feel in a different formula and actually the aspect of feeling pain, and I don't think to me, that's not even normal. I don't like the idea of people having to suffer, or animals. No, so I would remove that component if I were the creator. I mean, I could do a lot of bioediting, honestly. I would take out a lot of things that aren't necessary, and that would be one of them. Go ahead.
Well, I agree with you. But pain is usually an indication that something is wrong. So it's sort of like it's your
something's wrong, all right, and that's what I mean by. Go ahead.
Well, isn't pain like your check engine light? Oh, this hurts, I got to fix it. I mean, the
Yeah, it's an
physical
alert
body,
system. Yeah, early warning.
yeah. So
Yeah, I agree.
there is a meaning for it. But I think there's the emotional, how do you feel emotionally if there's no physicality?
Hmm.
Have issue with that. See,
Well, when you think
physical,
about it, your spirit before it showed up here. Go ahead.
yeah, the spirit before it showed up here was etheric, was a spirit. It chose to be physical for some reason. I don't think we're ever privy to it when we're actually here. But it probably the reason
Or it
that
got trapped. One or the
the
other.
reason,
But also the idea behind when you're out of body, you don't. Go ahead.
it's got to be a deer or a bear.
Hold on. Yeah, the neighbor's dog is out barking at something. I'm sorry, and the dog is interactive through the window. So, but you were talking about the spirit and the body.
Yeah. Now, I mean, your spirit chose to be physical, and here you are. And so, what was the purpose of the physical lifetime other than being able to have a physical body, feel physical things, and have emotions? I mean, there's no other purpose to it, is there? Solaris?
Well, if you're talking about one person like me or you, I would say one of these traps where they just entered into a different configuration of space time and got.
Mhm.
Oh, you can't hear me. That's weird. Me?
No, I can hear you. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Wow.
Oh darn! I don't know how much you heard. Okay,
I
good.
didn't hear.
For
I
a second,
didn't.
yes.
I didn't hear a lot of it.
Oops.
I asked, what was the purpose of being in physical if not to feel?
Right. Well, I guess it's a good question. But like I said, I don't even know if it was necessary to feel it. I mean, I can only speak for myself. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. To me, I find that there are other configurations and other multiverses that are much more compatible with us as spiritual beings. Whoops, sorry. So I am going to mute for a second here, and I'm going to close that window. Stand by, please.
Okay. Well, nothing like being out in the woods and having animals walk around. A good thing to have a dog that will let you know there's something around you. The cat never lets me know when there's something out there, unless of course it's another cat. And then I hear howling and stuff, but I don't really feel too threatened by stray cats here anyhow.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Oh my God. I can't even unmute here. Hold on.
No, I can hear you.
Hang on. Okay, great. Because it just goes back into muting when I didn't even want it to. But there's a deer outside, and the dog next door is going crazy, and my dog just got all excited. So sorry.
No, I said it was a deer or a bear.
Interruptions.
I recognize
You're
that.
right. Yeah, it was a deer. It's a pretty little deer. Oh my gosh, he's such a big mouth. He can really howl.
Well, it's a good alarm system. It's really good to have. I had dogs
sure.
that I've had a dog that was a watchdog and she was fabulous. And then we had another dog that was a big dog, but she just greeted everybody and it was, let me show you where the silver is. It was definitely not protective. So why do we have this? Why are spiritual people like you and I, why are we here in physical? I mean, frankly, there are.
I really don't think we're supposed to be here. I mean, that's just me.
I mean, there are parts of physical that are really fun. They're fun, but there are other parts that really suck. So why did we choose to be here?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't believe I chose to be here. I don't believe that I was supposed to be here in any formula. And the more I'm here, the more I know, the more I don't want to be here. So that's just me. But I find that we make the best of a situation while we're here, like a shipwreck. So we're
Yeah.
here. We find what our resources are, what our skills are, and we navigate through it. But quite honestly, there's this yearning to go to a different destination because we understand that beings like me, I mean, I definitely don't feel at home here. I'm never going to feel at home here. So I'm not convinced that my spirit said, "Oh, you had to come back or you're supposed to be here." I'm not buying that. I really actually feel almost like that's not the case in any formula. So who knows? And there's a level to it of we could have been designed to come here too. So in other words, you get, you know, and get into artificial intelligence, but the idea behind interconnecting or creating a different template for particular beings just to put them on the game board. I mean, there's so many levels to it. But I know I've heard that thing a lot where people say, "Oh, you know, you chose to be here and you had to learn." I'm not buying any of that stuff at all. I find that maybe some people might feel that way, but no. I'm just
I
not
don't believe there are
not at all.
mistakes.
The more I see, the more I don't like it.
Well, I got
Mhm.
that.
What's that? I'm sorry, you broke up. So
No, I said I don't believe that there are mistakes. Every now and then I
Mhm.
kind of feel like, okay, I'm watching, I'm observing, I'm taking notes. You know, don't go there again, maybe, but you know, there are pieces of being physical that are pleasurable. But then there are others that aren't. And I'm wondering if out of physical form, would I have learned as much as I have learned this lifetime if I hadn't had a physical form? If I was, you know, if I was just sort of floating around the earth and taking notes or whatever, interacting with other people, interacting with other spirits. Certainly, I do communicate with other spirits, with spirits that are not in physical, but at the same
Mhm.
time, they don't have impact on this reality the way a physical form does. So
Mhm.
this is some kind of, there's something profound going on here, being in the physical, and then there are parts of it that I get from spirit that have no resonance to the physicality here. So
Mhm.
it is surprising. That's why I so enjoyed doing the remote viewing or doing
Mhm.
work, spirit, being able to link to other people to draw on all of that energy and then take it to group someplace. That was fun. And nobody was in the physical. And I
Mhm.
think it was really enjoyable every now and then when I said, take a look at your hands or take a look at your feet and see what you see,
Mhm.
because quite often it wasn't the physical they were seeing, it was another form altogether.
Mhm.
And
Right.
I think that's one of the things that I want to make sure that I include in the remote viewing, if we, when we go forward at it, that I let people, I remind people to check out what they look like in that particular time and place, because in many cases I'm going to take people into the past and then into the future. I think that's part of the exciting part of it, to be able to to travel that way. At least that's what I've experienced. So,
Mhm.
we'll see. But I just, I know how you feel. You want to be off planet. Where would you go?
A different space time. I wouldn't be in this particular area where you see the celestial bodies that are associated with this realm, and I know it's more fluid, it's more liquid related. But yeah, I mean there are destinations beyond the space time that I'm very connected to, energetically speaking, that I'm sure I'll be navigating to. I find that this place has just been a strange, surreal environment, and not on a psychological level, just on a level for everybody. They've been had since day one. They've been lied to since day one. They enter onto a timeline where they're completely imprisoned and encapsulated into lies and deception. They find happiness through maybe a few others and few spirits and soulmates and spiritual beings. But honestly, look at what's happened here for so long, and it's like this is a broken record. This place
Yeah.
needs major change, and in order to get away from it. I mean, to me, it's like, is it ever going to change? Well, I can change. I can break orbit. So maybe it's just a reminder of places we don't want to be or we don't want to enter onto. And I think a lot of the time we do our best while we're here to try to help and uplift others, wake them up, break down the barriers that they've created and psychological problems they have. And, but for me, it's off planet. I mean, I'm working, my gateways are out there. I know how to make my star maps, and that's, it's for me. I mean, it's not for everybody, I guess. I don't know. I'm just one of those. I'm a traveler, I guess. I just want to go home. I sound like that little, do you remember Super 8? I say this a lot because you need to watch the movie. But did you see the movie Super 8?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know if you saw it or not. Okay, well, if you ever see it, it's a Steven Spielberg. It's a real nice movie. But anyways, it's about an extraterrestrial that gets basically trapped by the government and the military, and they torture it and torture it. And all it wants to do is build its ship and go home. And I think that's really what it boils down to when you look at what we are as beings, as cosmic beings. How many of us just want to have a place where we feel at home, where we feel like it's our real home? And I know that people say, well, this country's your home or that country. I get that. But is this world really our home? Is this place they call Earth really home? So, and maybe that's the whole idea, Barbara. I don't know if you remote viewed Earth, but maybe that's another option to look at the origin beyond it. You might find some interesting information.
That's really a very good point.
I don't know if you've ever done that. Have you?
No. I've never, I know that this isn't
interesting.
Home. Yeah, I know this isn't my home. I keep pointing to the central star in Orion's belt, as far as where it feels like home is for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I must know you. That's so funny. Yeah. Well, Orion's a big one with me. So there you go. And it's not all weird reptiles like everybody's trying to say either. I'm not buying all that. I've heard that.
Well, it's just, when I've told people, not tell people that, this isn't home. It just isn't. But I'm having a good time.
Right. I'm glad you are.
Every now and then. But I think finding a place where I can do research, where I can talk to other people who are out there too, makes life a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
because it's not. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have a nice neighbor who is, very not into any of this, which is good. And it's fun to kind of mingle with those that are so happy with the orb that they're in, that they don't really care what else there is out there. Mm-hmm. And yet there's so much out there, and there's so mm-hmm. much to explore and get involved with and stretch your spirit into, that is spectacular. And happily, that's what the radio show allows. Von Breschler. I mean, a lot of the people that both of us have interviewed are the same way, and it's kind of like, if ever we got on a spaceship or whatever, and I think we'd recognize a lot of the people that were sitting in the seats near, because I think that it's like attracts like.
True. And yeah, I agree with you 100%.
So that it's a matter of, we may be in different places, but we know that this is only a stepping stone, a stop station. Right. This is a rest stop.
Some of it calls it a way station, but I agree on so many levels about the cosmic ones, because we are cosmic travelers. I mean, we are. And that's that group, that's that syncing up of the cosmic fields and the, the beings that are a little bit different, or, the more galactic, so to speak. That's definitely here. It's funny, when I was talking about this isn't our home, and I know you and I have had that conversation, but a lot of other people feel it too. And I don't think that's this willful thing, like we just wish it wasn't Earth and we're in denial or something. I'm serious. And I find that what the message I just got, which was weird because I don't get messages, but It's the best we can do. That's the best we could have done. And in other words, that was like some temporary zone in a situation of a conflict, so to speak. Now, it could be right. It could not be right. Who knows? But my point is, I thought that was an interesting message because I don't usually get them. But it's possible, but this isn't good enough. And I'll tell them that too. So I'll fix it my way. And that's what I do. I'm a fixer too. We can do that. We're manifestors.
Oh, gosh,
we can create new fabrics, new frontiers.
But the thing is, it's uncovering a little bit at a time, a reality that is out there for us. And it's like, we don't have a ticket for it yet. I know you say you can go anytime you want, but you're still here. So, you haven't decided it's time to go yet.
I'm not bound to this realm. Well, no, I think like I said, I'm working on a few projects that I'm wrapping up, but when I'm ready to leave, I'll leave. I wasn't planning on dying, and that's true. There's some levels to it that have been way interfering. I should say they've been interfering, but nonetheless, it is what it is. But I'd like to be gone. But I do have a loyalty to my animals and a few other things here. But I would like to take them with me. But one of these days, I'll be vanished. Don't worry, I'll be out.
Well,
I can't see myself here long term. I'll tell you that. And I feel like I've been here way, way too long. But it's not like I'm just waiting for a ship to come in or something. No, I've had my own trajectories and I've had my own blueprints of what I wanted to do. And I think we've had that discussion of some of the aerial stuff that I had happen over here around this proximity of this house, which caused a lot of problems with the technology that has been interconnected with me. So that created some problems with how I calibrate and some of the things that I'm able to do with the gateways. So without getting too complex. And the reason I tell you this is because, and I mentioned this even last night on my show, is that people who have implants or any technology built into them are a threat to anybody here in this country who's under national security. Because if you can do something that they're not capable of controlling, they're going to shut it down or damage you. And that's one of the reasons I'm still loitering around. I'm ready to leave, believe me. And I still have some tech, and anomaly signals, but I do know what they've been up to for the past year. And I could even testify about it at this point again, which I don't know if I want to.
Yeah, I'd think twice on that one if I were you. But
it doesn't matter anymore because they'd lie anyway. Yeah.
Have you always felt this way, or is it just since you had the experience you did with the government?
I think I've always been in tune with off-world when I was younger, but I can tell you that after the induction, I was more adamant about space travel and getting out. That was a big deal for me. So I was not even obsessed. I was just driven. And that's when I started writing the books and really started decoding. And the more I start to decode, the more data stream would come in association with traversing and how we get out. So that's why. And that's why I worked on my own, like the Orion Gateway Project was one of the things I referenced that I was working on with traversing the galactic highway and access points and jump points and gateways. So it goes beyond astral projection. It goes into a different space-time. But we are capable through our own biosuit and regenerating it and changing the field to phase shift and bilocate to that destination, just like a transporter. So just like, we can use Star Trek as an example, right? So we're capable of phase shifting and bilocation. We're capable of going from point A to point B without missing a beat, without being in a capsule for 6 months in a stasis. And this is my point. And why are we wasting our time here? And I get very impatient because I know that I'm without question, I know that that's capability. And I know that the tech is part of the boot. It's like I want to say it's like a primer to some degree for people to be able to traverse. And that's one of the reasons I was very protective of some of the stuff that happened to me over the years when I started really calibrating it properly. So it's a whole different conversation, but that's what it's about.
What bothers me is that people are utilizing technology when they don't need to utilize technology. Are you familiar with the Monroe Institute?
Mm-hmm.
Vaguely?
Oh yeah, we've had conversations about it. Yeah.
Hey,
I haven't dialed into them recently. Are they even still there? I mean,
I don't know, but I know they did a lot of stuff with remote viewing, but they used technology to get the people to the point where they could go out of body and do stuff. And I don't feel the need of technology. And, when,
Right.
when, when they start telling you that you need technology to be able to do this stuff and you don't, that means you're dependent upon them and they control you, and you don't need that technology to do what they're talking about.
Right. But you are the technology. I mean, we are capable of interfacing
Exactly.
with machines with or without the covert governments. You know that, or I know that. We're wired for it. That's why it was so easy for me to interconnect with this project, was because I was wired to be able to do that. So we are the tech without question. We are the system with that. But I think what it does is it like anything else, like if you look at Montauk, for example, it boosts you up, it amplifies, and it in the interface, depending on what they're putting, they're interconnected into your psyche or into your neural circuits, is going to either assist in with the algorithms, or it's going to change the dynamic to some degree. But yeah, no, you don't need anything. But I do know through these types of technologies that off-world intelligence networks that I'm familiar with definitely use this for space travel. And that's why I've been writing about it. And that's why my next book is about off-world intelligence networks. It's actually titled that. So it is what it is. But that's one way. And I'm a firm believer we are technological beings, even though this is a very interesting biosuit. It's capable of quite amazing things, It's amazing.
Well, it's sort of like somebody said to me about, meditation. And I said, meditation helps. It does. But I think it's a form of getting to where you need to go, and it does help people, and it does work for people, and it's important for a lot of people to be introduced to a lot of new stuff. But at the same time, we are capable of just clicking in. And for the longest time, I didn't understand how people went through such ritualistic stuff to get to a place that I just clicked into. And it's fun for me, especially once a month, to be able to talk to somebody that talks my same language.
Well, I'm happy to talk to you too. I always like our show. It's always fun. We have a resonance for sure. And I like to bounce information back and forth. It's very important to be able to do that. And I find that, yeah, you're right, but you're already like advanced. I call it advanced ascended master field. So you're able to dial in quickly. A lot of people have to be educated, or some people are not up to speed. And that happens a lot. But that's why the meditation changes the frequency. And that's the whole idea behind it, in my opinion, is to change your vibration and start being aware of that vibrational shift. And then the awakening comes in, and what we call DNA activation, a lot of other things, and you're opening your consciousness to a higher realm. So to me, I think, that's once again, that's one of the ways to kind of prepare for the next level, which a lot of people, you can just switch gears. And when you get into the real aspects, like we start off with lucid dreaming and dreaming in general, well, you get to the level where you just have the gnosis. You don't need to have a full on dream, or you don't have to see anything. You can just really just go with the flow of the algorithm beyond the cosmos and understand. I think that happens quite a bit.
Oh yeah. And that's why I enjoyed the remote viewing so much, because people thought they had to have a meditation to get there. But what was cool was, by pulling everybody's energy together, everybody felt protected and comfortable with just flowing. And that's what they needed to do. So that's why it was fascinating for me.
It's almost like a vision quest, a little bit.
It was. And what I found fascinating was that when we did it the first time, I kind of let everybody drift for a while, and then I found that people needed my voice to keep going. So from then on, I talked through all of the meditations, because people seemed to needed to have that connection, I guess, and trust that it was going to be okay.
Yeah, you were the guide. Yeah, so you were guiding them. I think that's okay.
Oh yeah. So I learned too. I'd never done anything like that before. So going forward, it's going to be interesting. Once I was talking to Greg about, what different places I would look at to kind of take people into and go forward with. And I do think I want to, stretch it and really go to some unique places. Only because,
I would.
well, yeah, I we'll definitely get the list together again, and we will
I
put
gave you
it up.
some examples.
Huh?
Yeah, I gave you some ideas. I hope you take them. I would suggest it
They're
to
written
see.
down.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
cool. Yeah, something different, something way different, and those are way different.
I mean, we might as
My
well
cat's over here.
go, really out on the edge, out on the rim, so to speak.
Right. Well, it's also incoming too. When you think about this comet, whatever it is, incoming means, so there's this field already created that they
But
could dial into for the
that
remote viewing.
comet, that's already changed its trajectory, hasn't it?
Well, from what I understand, it's supposed to be, I think it's supposed to be passing Mars in October, if I'm not mistaken. So I think I'll have to double check it, but no, I don't think it's changed its trajectory. I think it's coming in at very fast speed. So
Was
we'll
it
see.
was it supposed to hit Earth?
No, it's not supposed to hit Earth, but it's an anomaly, and it's the way it's navigating. They're suspicious about the way its operating system is running, and they're suspecting. Some people are suspecting it could be technological or have some kind of a technology to it, intelligent control. But I'd have to look at it a little bit more deeply. But I think it's interesting. Like I said, I just heard about this. I wasn't tracking it, but everybody and their mother's now worried, or they're listening and they're paying attention to it now. So we'll see what happens. But I think it'd be fun to remote view it. Get a group in there and see what they think, what comes in, right?
Absolutely. Yes. That's definitely. I think that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. Let's do it. So, when I do remote viewing, I do mine differently than you. You do. I like the way you're a guide and you help keep people in that field. But I just give them a target reference number and it's a cold run. I don't give them data. I don't say anything, and I only give them a few minutes to pick up on what's going on. And I'm
Well,
telling you, just from the testing that I've done, people are amazing how they hit on targets. I'm just blown away. These are people that have no training, that are just psychic, intuitives, or intelligent. And I'm telling you, these people are gifted as can be. So it's really nice. And that's something that people I hope take home with them tonight, is that you all have these abilities that are phenomenal. If you just understand that they're there, just pay attention.
Well, I think with the group that we pulled together, there were a lot of people that were gifted already, and then there were a lot of people that had never meditated before. So, it was kind of important to give them visuals to move through different levels. The one that
you're a good guide for that. You did great.
Well, thank you. It was I was traveling right along with everybody else. So and I think the one thing that I had trouble with was not giving out too much information, so people were able to go where they went, as opposed to
not imprint them psychically, because you can do that, and I know you can, and so you have to be careful of not projecting and not having them pick up on that, and then it redirects the flow. Yeah, I get it.
I think the most fun, actually, well, the one time that I thought was cool was when we had the Egyptologist who was with us, and I remember taking us going through corridors that illuminated as we walked through, but there were no light bulbs or anything. They just glowed so that we had light. And we came to a place where I said, there are handprints on the walls. Find a place on the wall where your hand fits in. Put your hand in it and see what you feel. And afterwards, he said to me, something very strange happened. And I said, what? He said, I only had 3 fingers. And
yeah, that's cool.
And he said, and there was a place for my hand, and there were only 3 fingers. And I said, well, what did you get? He said, I didn't get anything. I just stood there staring at the fact that my hand only had 3 fingers and it fitted into something in the wall. And I said, did you get anything? And he said, I got scared. So
interesting.
That was cool. That was very
cool.
but they were. I'm hopeful that people when they go up, and they're going to be hopefully going up sometime this next week. Some of them anyhow. We'll get all 12 of them up within the next month, I hope. That people will go in and do the meditation, because the meditation is there, the graphics are there. And if I had any information on the site, it's there as well. I think in some cases, I'm not sure, in some cases, even the latitude and longitude of the site is there. So,
Oh, nice.
I would hope people will go in and give it a try and leave some comments, because it would be sort of fun to have,
Yeah.
people go back and do those, and
Oh,
then
absolutely.
and then with the new ones going up, probably in September we'll start again. And when I do them, I'll let everybody know, and join me.
That's
Join us.
wonderful. Yeah, get a group together. They will, if you're there and the presence and the energy's there, how people show up. So it'll
Oh yeah.
happen.
Yeah, no, I'm not really worried about that. That, energy is not a problem here, but it kind of will be fun to work with the group energy again, because I love doing group energy. And, every now and then I can feel somebody drifting away and I have to yank them back. But aside from that, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it's great.
But this is
awesome.
all
And some good partners.
this is all because of you. You kept mentioning it. And
Well, thank you. I'm glad I put a good bug in your ear then.
I finally been looking for them, and if I hadn't found the meditations themselves, I don't think I would have gone any further, but I did find them. And then I was able to finally get into the blog, because, I don't know if you're anything like me, but I have passwords written all over everywhere. And
oh yeah, I know. I have address books filled with passwords.
Yes.
I get it.
And I finally was able to get into it, because I had a group on my email list, and it was the group for that meditation. And I went into the emails that I had sent, and I was able to follow the link back to the blog. And so I was able to get them all for Greg, and he's now working with them. And I'm sure that when he gets them all up, they're going to be gorgeous. And I will try to have 5 or 6 of them ready to go as soon as he gets all 12 up. So it's just I kept telling him, I'm going to stop throwing projects at you so you can catch up and I can get to writing my book. And then this came along, and so we're off and running again in another direction. The book will get written eventually.
Which book is that on? What book are you working on?
101 Questions.
Oh, that's right. Okay, excellent.
Yeah, it's going to be fine.
You'll get it done. I've got to get mine wrapped up, so we'll compare notes in the end. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Very good.
Are you close to publishing?
What's that?
Are you close to publishing?
Me? No, I've got to, because I have a star map that's in correlation to it, so I've got to really work on the map. But yeah, the book is easy enough to wrap up. It's the star map that is because I'm trying not to use any system that's people can download, like one of these apps. I want to create the map myself, so it's a little bit more challenging. Yeah, it's old school.
Well, hey,
but it's for me mainly. I mean, if people like it, that's great. So,
Well, that's what I've found. The authors write for themselves, and if other people happen to like it too, that's just great. But I know I know what I want to do. I see it. It's just a matter of I know where I have to start, and once I've started, I'm going to be fine. But getting started is definitely a lot of work.
Well, you just do it. You just get it done.
Oh,
just like when you moved, you just decide one day, hey, I'm just going to work on it. And then you just get it done.
Yeah, it's coming to that. I am really to the place where it's time. And, it's not like it's the last project I have to do before I pass over to another realm, because I've got, I think, 3 other books behind that if I get this one done. But it's kind of like, I don't know, procrastination is something I'm mastering in these days. Not prognostication, but procrastination.
Well, you've been busy though. You do a lot. So, I know you have a lot of different things going simultaneously. I've been busy too. I mean, just dealing with stuff. Some linear, but it is what it is. Yeah. A little bit of a redirect here and there, but not too bad.
I know you've got a cat and I know you've got a dog. Do you have more than one cat?
Oh, I have 3 cats and 2 dogs.
Oh.
Yeah, I have Wild Kingdom. So, yeah, my one cat, I think I mentioned he had cancer and he's in recovery now. So he's in remission. So I was dealing with that for a while. But yeah, he's amazing. Yep, he's back. He's back for a while.
Well,
yeah, I've got a lot of animals keeping them company. They keep me company.
Oh yeah, without my cat to talk to, I don't know what I would do. She listens very attentively.
Very in tune.
She is, yes.
They're wonderful. Yeah, she's definitely smart. Yeah, she knew what you were looking for. That's amazing.
Yeah, she looked at me like, "Hey, here."
Yeah, she's telling you.
And I do have
this is
to
amazing
hide it.
how dialed in she is.
I hide it from her on occasion because she has this habit of changing channels on me when I'm not ready to have channels changed.
Oh, that's so funny. That's adorable. She's smart.
So
I used to have a cat that answered the phone. One of my old cats, when I lived in an apartment back in the day when I was very young, I had a cat that would, like, every time the phone would ring, he'd go and answer it, and he'd knock it off the hook, and people would be like, "What's going on?" And it was always my cat. So I loved him so much. He was an awesome cat. But yeah, it was so funny. They're very intelligent.
A long time ago, when answering machines were new, I used to have a lot of phone calls coming in, and my mother every now and then would mess up some of the messages, so I never knew what was happening. So I got an answering machine, and I went away. I was traveling, I think for the cards, and I was on the West Coast for 2 weeks, and I came back, and I noticed that there were no messages on the answering machine, and I said to my mother, "What happened?" And she said, "Oh, you got a lot of calls." I said, I got none. And she said, "That can't be because your phone rang off the hook." And I said, "Are you serious?" And we were standing there in my bedroom, and I said, "Did you touch it?" She said, "Don't come in your room." No. And the phone rang, my phone. And my cat got up and saw the light blinking and kept pawing it till she erased it.
Oh, that is funny.
She erased 2 weeks worth of whatever.
Oh my gosh. See, the cats again. Isn't that amazing? That's cute. That's a great story.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Wow, yours is worse than mine. Oh, geez.
Well, I just
They are
noticed.
funny though. Smart.
Yeah. And
Oh,
want to give everybody where they can get a hold of you, and we'll say goodnight.
Sure. Well, I'm over there. My website's nightshadowanomalydetectives.net or .com. And my radio shows are over on Raven Star's Witching Hour at Revolution Radio and Hyperspace at Revolution Radio. You can look at the schedule over there and see me on Friday and Saturday night. And it's a pleasure to be here again with you. Again, this was a great conversation as always. I love the topic, so good call.
I always talking with you. We'll pick another good one for next month.
Okay. I guess it's my turn, huh?
It is your turn.
I don't know. I'll figure something.
Okay. Meditate on it.
I'll figure out something. Okay. Yeah, I will.
Good night
awesome.
now.